Hello Bookish friends, welcome to another top 5 video. In this top 5 video, I'm going to talk about 5 really good books with really harsh conditions. I will exclude fantasy and science fiction, dystopian books, because they would dominate this list, and maybe I will do another top 5 video about such books. So let's see which books have really harsh conditions. The fifth book on the list is When Breaks the Dawn by Janette. When I was buddy reading this book with Rainey, I distinctly remember saying that I would not survive in this harsh winter conditions with so little civilization, because I'm a really girl of my time. Even though I really like reading about history, I'm very much dependent on technology. So harsh winter conditions and the isolation of people in Canadian West really brings out very hard conditions, but that's what makes the character development of Elizabeth much more appealing to read. The fourth book on this list has very similar qualities to the fifth book, The Great Alone by Kristin. But in this book, the story takes place in modern times, but weather and Alaska is a character on its own in this book, because as the title suggests, even though life in Alaska seems pleasant in short summer months, a great deal of the year is spent alone in indoors. It also has very harsh winter conditions, all the time snowy, roads blocked, and always struggling with the effects of the weather and winter conditions. And as a woman of Mediterranean, I also would not survive in the conditions of Great Alone. The third place goes to a book from China, To Live. This book talks about the poverty of the people in revolution times of Mao. The family that we are following is so poor, they do not eat anything for days, only live on water, and they have to work outside most of the time to earn even these very limited food resources. Conditions are horrible. It's one of the books with hardest living conditions that I ever read. The second book on the list is also very relevant to the social living conditions. 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. The women in this book are treated very badly, and they are seen like slaves of the husband, and also a property of them. And they endure many physical and sexual assaults, and this book is one of the books that made me cry the most while I was reading it, but it's also one of my favorite books. If your heart can bear such scenes, I would strongly advise this book. The first book on the list deserves this place by being a non-fiction book, Unbroken by Hillenbrand. I've talked about this book in some of the tags, but the significance of this book is how the main character is the survivor. It was one of the things that impressed me the most, actually. He survived in an ocean, in a boat, for almost a month without having the means to eat almost anything. And he also became a prisoner of war in Japan, and detailed descriptions of the prisons in Japan at that time was horrific to read in some parts, and especially their torture being destroying the self-respect of a person was very, very hard to read for me. But it was the truth, and Unbroken is my favorite non-fiction book. One of the books that emotionally affected me most in my reading life. So those were the 5 very, very good books with very harsh living conditions. I have to admit, I do not think that I will survive in any of these conditions. I would give up if I can, and most probably die in some of them. But they were very interesting to read, and all very emotional reads. So I would advise all 5 of them. Please comment down below what was the book that you read with very harsh living conditions like these ones. And if you are a new viewer, please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. For Turkish word of the day, since the number 1 book was Unbroken, I thought broken should be the word of the day. Broken means kırık in Turkish, and kırık is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.